Namaste, viewers, and welcome to another episode of Home and the World. And I'm so delighted to be joined by Gayatri Ji. Namaste, Gayatri Ji, and welcome.
Hey.
So, viewers, last time I said, she's my better half and so forth. And that's why we call it Home and the World, the kind of discussions we have at home on contemporary events and topics, but at a deeper level. But I want to tell you that she is an MBA. She had a corporate career with a famous international company, but she pivoted and she was also a bit of a serial entrepreneur. She started a company called Chef in the Box, and then in her, so to speak, third avatar, she's actually a yoga therapist. So very proud of all her accomplishments, and also a serious sadhak or sadhika. So thank you, Gayatri Ji. And as you know, viewers, we must start again with Ram. राम नाम से शुरुआत करते हैं because विषय तो राम मंदिर में जो हुआ है उसी का विषय है. And for those who have been following us from the previous episode, you know that we are talking about a specific article that I published. Am I right?
Yes, it was published just for our viewers' information. It was published on July 12th with the New Indian Express. It's available online. Please do go and have a look at it. The link will be shared with you on screen. So we will refer to that article mainly. So going back, to the article and refreshing the question for this segment, that of course a lot has been said and spoken about the whole issue, and if everybody's not leaving an opportunity to either throw mud at the whole issue or try and try and gain, as we would do for all their selfish reasons. But as very serious sadhaks and people who really believe in the true spirit of our temples and our gods and goddesses, what is the new perspective and take that you're offering in this whole issue?
Yes, exactly. And in a sense, we hinted at that in our earlier episode, which is that it is an issue which is liable as it is likely to be politicized. It is an issue where, the opposition will try to use it as ammunition, to bring down a government, even if they can. In fact, I might add that I just heard yesterday on another program, fairly reliable, by a major media house, a reporter who covers the opposition and was privy to what happened inside the Sansad Bhavan, the House of Parliament in the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, the big building where they house the upper and lower houses. But the point was that he was told that the opposition meeting, the opposition parties have a meeting, right? So they were called the Indie Alliance earlier. Now they are just called the opposition bloc. So they met, and there was apparently a discussion, as reported by this channel or media house, that the Congress wanted the Ram Mandir issue to be highlighted, by the opposition. And the other opposition party members, all the others, Trinamool and the Samajwadi and the rest of them, they said no. They said the Ram Mandir issue we can always raise in Parliament later. But now we want to go to the protests, the student protests, the Jantar Mantar protests, Ram Leela Maidan, March to the Parliament, Cockroach Janata Party, etc. So the point I'm trying to make is that if you think that the Ram Mandir issue will not be politicized or shouldn't be politicized, then we are being very naive. But that is not our approach. That is not my approach. That doesn't mean I'm being naive. I'm only saying that, the really sensible people who really believe in Ram, etc., they needn't get divided or politicized in this fashion. Because let the politicians or the parties do whatever they want. But let's go to the more fundamental issues. I mean, they will do what they have to do. As I already said, that the Ram Janmabhoomi movement actually propelled the BJP to power. See, they had only 2 seats. And from 2 seats, they came to a majority. I mean, Vajpayee and Advani were the only two elected, if I remember right. And then, because of this movement, they first got power in Uttar Pradesh and then at the center. So now, if the opposition says we'll turn the tables on them, yeah, that's what you can expect. What else do you expect? Anyhow, so I also want to say in the passing that there are some people who are saying that this whole stuff that's going on in Delhi is also a way to distract attention, from because this was the main, when my article came out a couple of weeks ago, the big story was the Ram Mandir. Now the big story is something else. So you see how public memory just moves on. So my point is that I'm not interested. Why am I being different, if not difficult? But because I'm looking at the long durée. Ram spent 500 years in Vanvas, right? So his return is also not going to be smooth. It's not going to be in 5 minutes or 5 months, everything will be set right. It's a huge struggle. So, number one, I'm not interested just in the ruling party or the whatever Sangh Parivar dispensation, trying to, cover up the issue or daba do, distract karo, spin karo, put something else in the limelight, somehow contain it. So I'm not interested in narrative management personally. So that's how my approach is different. Nor am I interested in necessarily taking sides. And see, I'll tell you, there were so many people who supported this temple, Mandir Wahi Banega. I was one of them. I wrote so many articles about this. And I wrote it not only as a Ram Bhakt, but, also as a secular Hindu, which is to say I respect all faiths as a liberal Hindu, etc. But now, what happens is all these so-called supporters, they all keep quiet when something like this happens. So that's another way in which I'm different. I'm actually acknowledging that something terrible has happened. It should not be covered up, and this is Maryada Purushottam Sri Ram, right? So you should have such high standards in his shrine. So I'm not interested in just shifting the blame. I'm not interested in saying, oh, these guys, they were against the temple, supposedly or allegedly, whatever. Or we know that the then Chief Minister Mulayam Singh Yadav ordered that, the car sevaks were fired upon. Now, today, it's with tear gas, that protesters are being, dispelled or dispersed. But their real bullets were used, etc. So now they're saying, oh, these very people, unke vanshaj, their dynasts or their successors are now attacking, they have no right. I don't like that argument. I don't think it's a valid argument. Or even if you want to make it valid from a political standpoint, to discredit anybody and everybody who is asking these questions is not my approach. I think these are valid questions. You can't defend the indefensible, you see, right? And then there are other people who have said that, oh, wow, once you offer something, you have no right to ask what happens to it. Please, what kind of world are we living in? If someone offered silver bricks and the silver bricks supposedly, allegedly disappeared, I don't know how much is true or false. That's a different matter. But they have every right. They should get a receipt. Okay, we are not living in some medieval age. Anything handed to a trustee should be under a receipt. There should be a camera. It should be recorded. Okay, if you put something in the hundi, nobody knows who gave it. It's an anonymous donation. And it's not a question of a right to the donation after you have donated it. Not at all. But you have a right to know that it is not being misused and stolen, literally, from the Lord. It's like I gave you something, let's say, and then someone else took it away without your knowledge or permission. Do you think I'll be happy? No, persons are not going to say, oh, once you gave it away, it's none of your concern. Arey boss, I gave it to her. I gave it to my partner, my wife, whoever, my significant other, my better half. I didn't give it to some X, Y, and Z who just took it, from her drawer. So something similar. I gave it to my Ishtadevata. I gave it to Lord Rama, who's come back home. My goodness. Now you say, you took it away, somebody took it away, some workers were involved, there was a conspiracy, and I shouldn't say anything. No. So I don't like that approach either. I don't think it will stand scrutiny, right? So, so that's the second way in which I kind of differ from, the different points of view that have been expressed on this matter. That that the opposition has no right to raise this issue, of course they have a right. Secondly, that people who have donated something should not ask the question, what happened to their donation? No, I disagree. So, as I was saying, I'm not in favor of people who say that no question should be asked. In fact, to sum it up, my fundamental difference is that I look at this crisis as an opportunity. And I'll just explain why in 2 or 3 minutes. And then we can go into it in greater detail. So you said very interestingly, at least to me, that Lord Ram or Sri Ram himself is doing all this. So, that's amazing. He decided to leave his hometown. He decided to come back. He created the conditions to come back. And now he found that people were sort of thieving under his nose. So
The Ram
he
Bar,
decided in
right,
the
right.
Ram Darbar, right under his nose. So he decided to expose them and so forth. So this is a very interesting way of looking at it, which is to say that there are powers higher than just ourselves, our own mental capacities to really figure out what's going on. But I take that as my cue that, Ram has given us this opportunity. Okay. So in India, what we do is, like even in the Gita, if you worship the Yogeshwar Krishna, then he's the master of yoga, the Lord of yoga. So really, he challenges you to rise to the occasion. So, to me, Rama has challenged us to rise to the occasion. In other words, whatever the Lord has to do, let him do. Maybe it's beyond our comprehension, why he left, why he came back, why we were invaded, etc., etc. But what is it that we have to do? So I would simply say that this crisis is an opportunity of unprecedented proportions. And I'll explain that possibly in our next conversation. But very simply, I want to say that this is the occasion to really revamp the structure in such a way that the Ram Mandir of the Maryada Purushottam actually becomes a model, not just for other Hindu temples, but for all shrines, all religious shrines in India. I mean, please don't tell me that there's not been scandals in the shrines of other communities. Every community has faced this, whether it's the Muslims, their most famous dargahs, even in Ajmer Sharif, where I've been myself, there have been scandals, allegations, corruption, violence in other temples, whether it's in Vrindavan or in the south. Again, in churches, there's such a big scandal with the churches, right? All over the world, whatever has been happening, we know so well, including allegations of child abuse, lawsuits in the US. Churches have had to be auctioned to pay off people, so even the Vatican, even Mother Teresa. So all communities, even Mecca itself, the holiest of the holies, has been attacked. Terrorists have taken it over. Look at the history. And the sacred stone, Kaaba itself, it's housed in this beautiful looking, enclosure. And for many years, I thought that that was the stone. It's not. The stone is in fragments inside. So please read all this. Don't believe what I'm saying necessarily. But my point is no community, no religious tradition, even the Buddhists, even the Jains, nobody has been free of scandals or allegations or investigations of corruption or violence and this and that, or politics for that matter. But now that it's about Lord Ram, he's a symbol of so many things, of Hindu resurgence, of India itself, unity, Hindu Samaj ki Jagrati, etc., etc. Then let Hindu Samaj rise to the occasion. Let's make this a model temple in every which way, even the way in which the donations are collected, accounted for, and disbursed for the dharmic purposes to which such donations are allowed in the Indian legal framework. So I'm saying this is a great opportunity for introspection, for course correction, and that will be the prayaschit, Gayatri Ji, of the managers or whoever is in charge. The real prayaschit would be to come clean, to fix responsibility and then make this a model temple. So, on that note, maybe we can bring this episode to an end. So, thank you, Gayatri Ji. for joining us. Thank you, viewers. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel and support our views. Not views, sorry, efforts. And you share your views with us, okay? We want a plurality of views, okay? Thank you so much. Till next time.
And
Namaste.
even if you support our views, we'll be happy to have you support our views. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you so much. Namaste.